Chapter 7, Compass. The third lost power, choosing. There's a moment that arrives for many people after they begin seeing their patterns clearly. At first, the experience feels liberating. What once seemed random begins making sense. Behaviors that felt confusing reveal their origins. Certain struggles stop feeling like personal failures and start looking more like adaptations that have simply outlived their usefulness. Then another question appears. Now what? The traveler feels this question as they follow the jaguar toward the mouth of the cave. Behind them, the bubble hall remains illuminated in the darkness. The web is still there. The spheres are still all interconnected. The old contract still sits at the center. And it's influencing far more of life than seemed possible only a short time ago. Nothing has been fixed. Nothing has disappeared. Yet something important has changed. The traveler can actually see it now. Anyone who has ever recognized an old pattern knows that feeling. Once something becomes visible, it's difficult to return to not seeing it. The agreement that once operated silently now appears everywhere. The traveler notices it in old memories, familiar conversations, recurring frustrations, and moments that previously seemed unrelated. The contract has been shaping far more than behavior. It's been shaping choices. As they leave the cave, cool air greets them. The forest has become quiet. Above, the moon hangs low over the landscape, illuminating a waterfall descending from high in the mountains. At the top, barely visible through the mist, stands the Lotus Temple. The traveler follows the jaguar toward the water. Neither speaks for some time. There's no urgency in the journey. The old agreement was not formed in a day, and it will not be released in a day. Many of these contracts have traveled with people for decades. They have influenced careers, relationships, identities, and decisions. They have provided protection, belonging, certainty, and structure. Even when they did create difficulties, they often carried a history that deserves your respect. This is why the jaguar does not ask the traveler to destroy the contract. The agreement was not a mistake. At some point, it made sense. A child who learned to become responsible may have been adapting to chaos. Someone who became useful may have discovered that usefulness created belonging. Someone who learned to carry everything may have been surrounded by people who could not. The agreement solved a problem. The challenge is that life has changed. Many people continue honoring contracts written for circumstances that no longer exist. They carry instructions created by younger versions of themselves into situations that those younger versions could never have imagined or anticipated. The traveler thinks about the agreement chosen in the cave. Perhaps it was, if I don't do it, nobody will. Perhaps it was, I have to hold everything together. Or perhaps it was something else entirely different. But whatever form it takes for you, the traveler begins noticing how many decisions have quietly been influenced by it. And I ask you to consider the same thing. How many times has it appeared during moments of stress? How often has it shaped boundaries, responsibilities, expectations, and relationships? The realization is not discouraging. It's clarifying. For years, the contract operated automatically. Now it can be observed. That changes the relationship completely. The path gradually becomes a staircase carved into the mountains. It winds upward beside the waterfall, disappearing into the mists above. As the traveler begins the ascent, moonlight reflects through the water, scattering it into colors across the stone. Blues, greens, golds, violets, and many colors without names shimmer briefly before disappearing again. The traveler is reminded that transformation rarely happens all at once. Most meaningful changes occur the way dawn arrives. Gradually, slowly, quietly, almost invisibly, one step at a time. This is why the jaguar offers a simple instruction. For the next 28 days, become a tracker. Do not attempt to change everything. Do not attempt to redesign your entire life. Simply notice. Notice when the contract appears. Notice what situations activate it. Notice what emotions accompany it. Notice what it asks you to do. Notice where it asks you to give away energy that could be invested elsewhere. Many people underestimate the power of observation. They assume transformation begins with action. More often, transformation begins with awareness sustained long enough to create choice. A pattern that remains unconscious controls behavior. A pattern that can be observed creates possibility. The traveler continues climbing. With each step, the old agreement feels lighter, not because it has disappeared, but because it's no longer being carried unconsciously. For the first time, there is space for another question. If this contract no longer defines me, what might? If this old instruction is no longer organizing my choices, what new instruction belongs in its place? The Lotus Temple waits above. The traveler does not yet know what will be received there, only that something must be returned before something new can be accepted. So the climb continues. And for the first time in a very long time, the traveler is not simply repeating the past. They are participating in the creation of what comes next.